But I started to think, I'm so sorry. Okay. Welcome, City Attorney Kylie Fennell and Human Resources Manager Charlotte Nelson to present item C3, determine the DEI position and classification, or position classification and salary, and approve related budget amendment. And then we also have another guest. Can you please, for the record?
Hello, I'm Monica Blackwood, West Elmwood.
Hello, Monica Blackwood. Okay, was this item, I mean, I'm sure this item has been discussed in public safety, no?
No, we like, so
Okay,
for public safety, that's not like everything I do.
that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna ask
Okay.
because it's a related one, and it's okay if it hasn't. We're not pushing back on that. So, okay. Thank you very much, Attorney Fennell. I'm gonna pass it over to you for the.
Sure. So, just a recap of where we're at on this. This is the position that's been budgeted at a managerial level, and there's been a lot of public input in shaping the position because we've never had this position before. There was a consultant report. There was earlier this year that the council spoke or had a chance to ask some questions about, and that was based on community and employee input. And then at our last meeting in March, the council, really wanted the city to hire a recruitment firm to do the recruitment and didn't want to make the decision on what the position would be set at until we had the recruitment firm on board so that they could provide any of their information on that. So the city selected Monica Blackwood to work with us on this recruitment, and that was what we've been working on. And so going through what you have in the packet is some options to look at. So right now, going back, the position is currently budgeted as a DEI manager at pay band 14. And the report from the consultant that we received earlier this year recommended that be increased to a director level. And so we provided information on both options for the council to consider, as it is at the manager level, and then as it would be at a director level. And then we also provided some job descriptions to look at from other cities that have implemented similar positions. We also included the Kitsap County position in there, since that's local. And I know that he's not here tonight, but Council Member Younger usually. I'm sorry, he was my friend. He was the council member for a long time.
Her president.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Whenever he always asked about Kitsap County, so that was included. And also, he always asks about the management, professional, and confidential salary schedule. That anytime we're setting them, he wants to see where it's going to stack up against the rest of the staff. And so that was included as well. And so the questions that are really going to now, like with this in council's court and under your purview, are to set where this is going to be. Is it going to be a director or a manager? And what the salary is going to be. And once we have that and an approved job description, we'll be able to proceed with the recruitment that everyone's really eager to get to. And so just some general considerations that I'm just going to throw out there as just sort of ideas is that the budget allocation at this point is just salary. There's really no additional budget for the person to do their work. And that's not necessarily unusual with a new position, that they have to come in and kind of say what they need. But that is just something to be aware of. There's not, any other money at this point that's been allocated in that way. And so there's that. There's also no additional staff. And so there's, is the person going, they're going to be managing a program and managing a function within the city, but they're not going to have any staff underneath them. And the other thing that I wanted to add is that there is, in just the scope of this type of work. Generally sort of an internal and an external focus. Internal focus focuses on training, employees developing training programs and protocols, sometimes also with recruitment, things like that. And then there's an external component involved with community engagement, ensuring that underrepresented groups have a voice in the process of government and elevating those voices and getting really robust community engagement. And so you'll see in the job descriptions pieces of those functions, and just wanted you to be aware of that. And Monica can speak more about that, but that's kind of the nature of these positions. Some are more weighted to community engagement and outward facing, and some are more weighted inward facing. And so the council needs to sort of weigh that as to, what you'd like to see as the person's role in the city, which is what you get to decide. So with that, that's the kind of the history and the overview of what you're looking at, and how those attachments are attached to that agenda bill. And I'll turn it over to Monica or Charlotte if they have anything to add.
You're good.
I expected.
I just to add to kind of what's going on in the landscape, right? From a national perspective and a regional perspective with respect to DEI work and the positions that organizations of all types. There was a Supreme Court ruling that, initially affected higher education institutions.
Thank you.
Switching over into other public entities as well as private. Just today, there was another article in Beach Sound Business Journal about the positions shifting the focus and whatnot. So less on the internal side of, going around and segregating it, not to use that in a bad term, but like to categorize people, and on the internal side, trying to bring everybody back together, kind of that inclusion aspect, and also turning more outwardly facing for that community engagement piece. So you're seeing that happen across the nation, here locally. You're seeing it in private, nonprofit, education, public sectors. You're seeing legal lawsuits and things like that trickle into, which also. So that's where we went with our discussions and trying to stay current with things. Aside from the job descriptions that had been supplied to you, they were given to me by the team here. I also looked at other job descriptions, including a civil engagement manager out of Thurston County. There's a program director of civil engagement that was for a national civic league happening. There was a diversity and community engagement position through multi-care and community engagement specialist at Sound Transit. So I was kind of looking at all kind of aspects and different industries, things to most in our region, but also a few on the national.
I did want to add, just don't, I know we had recommended motions. Those are not normal recommended motions. I don't know how to say that. We were trying to anticipate different options that the council might take, but this is an open discussion.
Yeah.
There's not a particular course of action. This is, but it's a new program, and we want the council buy-in and really some ownership here of this. So the first one is whether the council wanted to increase the salary but maintain the position at a manager level, and the second one would be to eliminate the manager position and then add it back in as a director level and set a pay that was higher. So if the council wanted to elevate the position from director to manager,
Manager
to director. Thank you. We have that on there. We have also, just whether it's increased pay or if it's keep the pay the same. That's like, don't get hung up on the motions right now. Tell us what you want.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to summarize, what you need from us is direction. Are we going to make this a managerial or director position? A. And the second thing you're asking for is to approve the pay band. And that's it, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And then, but as when we do the management and director, you're also going to be doing the job description, like we just went through with the parks director.
Yeah.
You need to approve the job description. And that's where we're talking about that inward outward is that this is the time that we can tweak that, and it can, as
Okay.
Monica has explained, there has been the shift since we even began engaging in this work to be more community based and engaging in the community. So lots of stuff to consider here.
So do we have to approve the job description at the same time that we're approving whether or not we want manager versus director and pay band?
In theory, you can do it any way you want, but we can't do the recruitment until we know
Right.
what we're recruiting for. So, if you wanted to tell us, like today, we want a manager position, that would be input, and there was consensus to go that direction. We could come back later and you could look at job description. If so there's really kind of three asks here, and it's your decision, so you can decide how you do it. But we're just,
Okay.
we don't want to go out and do the recruitment with Monica until she knows what we're recruiting, how much they're going to get paid, and what the job is.
So let's take a couple moments, counselors, and let's talk amongst ourselves, okay? Because there's a lot going on here. So just among all of us, let's talk about, I'd like to get your temperature on whether or not you think director versus manager.
I want to know why the group from the community so strongly wanted it as a direct instead of a
They
manager.
see it as a communication value, I believe, and respect. They want to give the highest title possible in order to give that role a level of importance or influence. I, however, would argue, I think there's I want this position set up for success. And regardless of whether we call them a director or manager, they have no budget and they have no staff. That's not setting a position up for success.
Well,
And what I heard from the community too is that they want to make sure somebody wasn't squirreled away in HR, right? They wanted them elevated to be
True.
able to work with.
True.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I don't see us having a problem with giving a budget, right? That's a no-brainer. We want this person to be able to buy a stapler and be able to have a computer, that sort of thing, right? The fact,
More.
maybe a little bit more, right? You know, I mean, like,
More.
with no budget, they can't even do that. They have
But
to
if
borrow
we
it.
elevated the salary and named them a director, and I have serious concerns about the impact of that on internally.
Mhm.
Serious concerns.
Yeah.
If we're wanting to set this position up for success, we want it to be a position that others will engage with. And I think there may be a lot of resentment. I would think it's human nature for colleagues to resent a new position that's coming in at the same pay band as directors with
Well, and the
with
fact that,
many direct reports but huge budgets to oversee. And I say this as someone who has done that. So I don't know that we would attract the right candidate at a director level.
so Denise, so what I hear you saying, I'm just gonna re-engage you here with
Yeah.
me here, is that you have concerns about having a director level position as a brand new position. And what do you think about the fact that there's not any employees underneath them? Who are they
Who are they the director of?
Who are they the director of?
Who are
I
they
mean,
and what are they directing?
and even
what are
at
they
a management
managing?
level, who are they managing? I mean, they're managing a budget.
It's a program.
Program.
Okay.
It's a program, and they
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
just because they're a manager doesn't mean that they would not be-
Manage staff, right.
would not be a direct report to the mayor. They don't have to be
Okay.
in our organization
Still be
tree
in the weekly
under-
meetings.
under a director as a manager. They can be a direct report as a program manager.
Yeah.
Okay, so manager versus director. Jeff, have I heard from you yet about this? And Michael and Anna?
I feel
I'd
like
to hear
it's
from you.
a bit chicken and egg, because I was going to say one thing I really appreciate about them. was getting all the comparisons to other cities, because something I was really interested in was what other cities have done this, what
Right.
has been successful, what recent changes have they made that we might want to look at, which is all in here and fantastic. So I almost feel like we want to flush out what we want the job description and roles and responsibilities to be first
Yeah.
before, I think that's the first, and we go back and say, what's the proper title for that and what's the salary that's competitive?
Michael and Anna, let me get some input from you before we move on to the next layer of the
so-
onion.
A little, if I back up a little bit, so some of this came about when we started the Race Equity Advisory Committee. And which we probably didn't set that up for success. And so that was a bit, so I agree. I agree with, I understand why the suggestion for director was there. But I feel right now that I'd be more comfortable with the manager position. We can always grow that program into something else. It's really hard to go back. You pretty much have to have, the person vacate and then hire somebody new. But when I go back to the REACT work we were doing, it was very external. And that's one of the reasons we're doing this. We're pretty lucky that we're not doing this because of anything that's really grossly out of proportions with our city. We tried to do something good and we didn't do it well, so now we're trying to do it wellerer.
Better, I think.
Thank you.
Your struggle is
Very uncharted
adorable.
territory.
Yeah.
And so
And-
the fact that
Wellerer
you're
in the same
doing
breath.
something,
Right. And I think that the kind of the uncharted territory too is that so it's also like we kind of have to start this program, and it's going to be clunky, and I would think somebody at a director level probably wants to come in and have like this thing to operate at the level that they're
Right.
getting paid at. This person's going to be doing a lot of their own admin and things like that. Anyway, so if I kind of simmer it down, is that I see an important
Boil it
piece of
down.
this, working with the external community, and then taking that input and dispersing that through. But I think I'm most comfortable with the manager position. But even just saying that, I understand the difference, but
And-
I'll stop right there for now.
Anna, let's get some feedback from you.
Okay, so I have the CMFR Coaching and Consulting permanently on my iPad. I look at it really frequently, and it was the recommendation, or I've read this multiple times, and so far I see the consultant, the CMFR people, they are recommending that it be a director. But I don't see that in any remarks from the community or from the workforce. It's not among the pervasive findings or anything. And I should add that this is, I think, at least the third time that council has been asked, don't you want to make it a director? And council has replied, no, we would like it to be a manager. And here we are hearing, I think, really good reasons for that. It's like a director with nothing to direct feels like just a token piece put there. A manager who can change the culture. And I think if you look through the comments of the workplace of the workplace respondents, you can see that it's that there are a number of equity issues, not just race, gender, sexual orientation are the second largest. I think a manager who does a good job and digs in and changes our culture to make everyone at this city feel more included every day, not just during meetings, but like all the time in the way they act with them every single time, that person could definitely come to us and say, all right, I, I need staff, I need to become a director and I need staff. But for right now, manager.
So I just want to push back. I think we have had discussions where we did say we want to take that recommendation and make it director. So I think we're kind of rolling back on. Do y'all have,
We haven't had we have not, I think you've been consistent and I think there's been voices for both sides.
mhm.
And we were just wanting to make sure that we went,
It's been inconsistent feedback, right?
inconsistent.
That's
feedback.
that's my,
Majority every time for the manager.
no, I would disagree with that. It has not been. I would say it has been inconsistent. So
And in the event, it hasn't been set yet. So if you tell us now
Right.
in one way or another, that's what we're gonna.
All right.
do.
Well, it sounds like,
Manager.
sounds like the temperature is manager for now, and to grow the program, we have employees all the time that move up in bands. So,
Throw out a few more thoughts.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not opposed
please.
to that, but the caliber of individual that you're to get is going to be more attractive to a director level position, even if it's a one-man position where they're doing everything. They're
Or one
answering the
person.
phones. Yeah, one person. They're ordering their paper clips and they're doing, and they're out engaging with the public. The quality of candidates that you're going to get with the experience and the real background is going to be stronger with a director level position.
I'm going to push back on that and say I think maybe it's an unnecessary level of expertise. I see this position, yes, as being somewhat cultural and trying to affect positive, impact. And yet, I don't think that we need a overly sophisticated intellectual position person. And when I look at the pay band, I believe that the work that we're asking this person to do fits very well within that pay band for Bremerton, with the supervision of no staff and no budget. I liken it very much to work being done out there in the trenches
I think-
around social change, and yeah.
The pay band, I think, recommended is the same regardless of manager versus director.
No,
Right?
it is not.
Slight difference? Okay, all right. It's a pay band
not
14. Okay,
It's not.
okay. All right.
Can I make a comment?
Well, yeah, we're just kind of free.
Okay, so everybody's kind of,
Talk after her.
it sounds to me like, people are concentrating on what this person that we hire is gonna do for staff and for just how the city itself works. But really, aren't we trying to engage the community that hasn't been engaged? And that is gonna take, I think, more than, like, I was making that kind of money 10 years ago, to tell you the truth. I don't think that's like a huge salary that we're talking.
Seniority, like in 10 years, this person,
With no, but
Okay, I had no college education either. So anyway, I get that they're not filling out reports on how, performance reviews every year for multiple people. But I think
Makes it.
that's not all that a supervisor does.
I know that. I've been a supervisor. I understand that.
Plus the
But what I'm saying is that if our community is coming back and saying, we really think this position deserves a director title, I think we need to listen to them, and hopefully this is gonna have a public hearing before we.
so I guess just really quickly to go back to my point, it's
Need to ask
it wasn't the
about our
community
community
who
forum.
said director, it was the consultant.
But I thought the consultant was working with a community group.
I need to clarify something with Jeff, because we had a community forum. I feel like there was feedback from the public that they wanted this to be a higher level position, that we needed to have a DEI. Was that anything that was specifically discussed in our community forum?
my recollection was where are they placed in the city hierarchy?
Right.
And that they said the positions that have failed to be effective, were put down here and often, as an HR, thing. Oh, we're gonna hire this person as an HR kind of thing, system. Yeah. No, like,
Another
not
star.
there, but.
Yeah, no.
Check the box, we're hiring somebody and they're under 3 levels, right? So the most important thing that this person was reporting directly to mayor and or council, right? Yeah, that there
Okay.
was that high level.
And as a manager, can they report directly to the mayor or would they be, oh, okay, I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay.
I'm agnostic to either, and literally, figuratively.
We have two suggested job applicant write-ups here, right? Yeah,
Yes, taking in the two that are marked as drafts.
Two
One's
jobs,
a-
yeah.
One's a director and one's a manager.
maybe a summary of the kind of key differences between the description of those roles.
Key differences between manager and director.
Well, much of it is more about manager kind of executing policy and executing.
And a director
ideas
would
and so
be
forth, and
creating
a
it.
director is more focused, is coming up with it,
Implementing.
creating it strategic and in that respect. They tend to have some communication skills that are different to engage in the community.
Charlotte has something to add too.
I'm a manager and I
Okay.
And you do it well.
Yes, you do.
There are people that can do it.
However, I do feel like your role should be a director level.
Yeah. Let's not go there.
Charlotte's gonna be retiring soon. All right, anyway, so I want to do another temperature check because we do have a lot to digest. This is a
Right.
huge topic. Yeah,
Right.
Michael?
Yeah, is it the administration's leaning towards manager or we have
don't
any
even have our
input,
mayor here.
yeah.
He had some, it was like an appointment or
Okay.
something.
When we proposed it, if the administration proposed in the budget at a mentor level. So that answers the question. That was at the time.
Yeah,
So did he propose that they would work directly under him?
In his office.
either way, they'll work directly under him. I guess the thought would be a manager might take up a little more of the mayor's resources in trying to chart the way forward. Maybe the candidate that we might get at a director level might be a little bit more readily to
Who
hit the ground.
who would be the lateral teamer for this role? Meaning like who would they team with? Like who would be their
Everyone.
peer? As far as who would they, you know what I mean? Charlotte knows what I mean. Like who would they laterally team with?
What are the positions that would be lateral?
Oh, in the pay band?
Yeah, but I mean, well, there's the pay band, but then there's also like, who are their peers? Do you,
Like they're gonna be
Who will they
sitting
be
in,
working with?
I don't know. what-
are they gonna be in the, they're not gonna be in a director's
talking to
meeting?
Charlotte.
As a manager, they would
They'll
be,
in weekly.
Or like
any meeting that is, relevant, where, I mean. I think
Charlotte,
that
are you
they-
in the director's meeting?
no, I'm not a direct report.
Okay.
okay, so anybody
Are other
direct reports
managers
mayor is in a
in the
director's
director?
meeting, even if they're a
There
manager.
aren't any directors, there aren't any managers that are under a director,
The county
Okay.
calls its position what?
manager.
And they do report directly to the commission.
Yeah, I think we just need to move on with manager. I just want to just call it and I like Michael's, like, we need to grow this program.
Yeah.
And I respect what you're saying about caliber, but also what I want to say is we might get a candidate that's not intimidated in the way that they would be at a director level position. They might feel a little more comfortable applying to be a manager than,
I just misspoke. The county has renamed their position to coordinator.
Coordinator. That's
I was gonna ask
below a
too.
manager.
Not necessarily.
No?
Not
No.
necessarily.
Okay, manager, next.
manager, next topic.
No,
No, Jeff?
I like this discussion of what other, because we were saying, what are other cities and jurisdictions doing? And in the packet, and it said there are some other possible titles.
Okay.
It's worth exploring.
I put
Yeah,
several
Yeah.
different titles.
right, which is.
So, okay, so it's not, wait a minute, pause. We're talking about, let me just make sure that I'm clear, because we were just talking about manager versus director level. but now you want to continue the conversation because now we have a spectrum of names that we can choose from that's not necessarily manager or director, that may be coordinator.
So we,
Okay, let's do it.
yeah, we're looking at, where's other cities in here? Oh, gosh, sorry.
I think one thing I'm interested, as you're looking that up and
Mhm.
talking about, is are we still moving forward with the title of DEI? There's other,
I think that goes.
Right, it goes hand in hand. There's so, because some.
right, because I mean, here's what I don't want. What we do know is that we do want a diversity, equity, inclusion focus. There's also other terms like cultural
DEI.
competency.
Bellevue has DEI, Community Outreach and Engagement Administrator.
I mean,
There's
I don't want to.
good argument for calling it DEI, because every time you open the paper, you read about another organization or another government agency that is getting rid of their DEI.
Tractor supply.
Tractor Supply.
Municipalities.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
won't
lot
be
of-
getting my
Remember
chickens
that?
there.
Do you remember
was
the
my-
pendulum that I talked about at City Council?
Yeah.
That's what we're watching.
And I also
You know,
think
there's
if the
the
manager, if the manager wants to change the title.
Community engagement. There's, you know.
Diversity and community, what did you say?
Diversity and community engagement. There's equity and community partnership. There's
Belonging is used a lot
There's
now.
belonging is new.
Yeah, that's.
And this is a good I appreciate, Jeff, that you're pushing back on this conversation because it is a conversation. So can we pause on the title for a second and just check in about salary and budget? Okay. So we know we want this department to have but what's your ask specifically for the budget?
Right now, it's in there. Like,
Okay.
it's, you've already approved it.
For the salary and benefits.
But I mean, the additional budget for the program.
Yeah. Right now, we don't have a
There's none.
specific ask as a part of this discussion.
Okay,
Like,
that'll be a future
As
discussion.
they operate under if they're in the mayor's department, mayor has supplies. So it depends on what their needs are. They'll ask what the needs are, they'll amend the budget. I say, I don't know right now if they need to do, if they need a car. You know, those are big discussions. Decisions. But to operate, let's go to operate, plug and play, you'll be able to hire, bring them in, they have stuff.
But to attract somebody, they need it. Well, I guess.
Or do we bring them in and then
Chicken
say,
egg,
hey,
man.
take an assessment of the city, provide some recommendations, and then they say, hey, I would like a budget of 150 grand next year, 100, whatever,
That could
50 to do.
Just
X,
like
Y, and
any
Z,
other-
like any other department.
I think
Yeah.
that's,
Okay.
I think that's how the county handled their position. That
Are we good to handle a budget in that way, folks?
Yes.
Okay, next topic is we need to discuss pay band. And I know that we're saying that it's dependent on whether they're a manager or director or belonging of inclusion and equity or all the different topics, right? But can we actually give a thumbs up, thumbs down about a pay band? I mean, pay band 14, but there's a slightly different
or
salary.
like if you want to keep it the same or change it, basically is what we're asking.
Keep it the same.
So the current pay band's 98 to 118, and as we normally do, comping against other positions, or the due diligence talk out loud, but.
We've already had this, I feel like we've already had this discussion.
Yeah, I think that's in line with other jurisdictions.
I have written here.
Or are we a little low?
Almost 125.
What's our cost of living compared
Hmm.
to? And how interested are people in the Bremerton community in
So like,
filming?
what is calling the 150, Spokane's 109, Bellevue's 128.
The sideways
Yeah,
chart
it's not
is-
working.
sideways chart.
The sideways charts are problematic.
Go up to tools and you can rotate the page.
Oh.
I know, but then you have to.
No.
Have to rotate.
Y'all, we have already talked about the salary though.
So Kitsap has theirs at 80,600 a year for new hire one, after 8 years, 114. And Marysville, Bellevue are around there, Redmond.
The county is
We're
much
talking
lower
about
than what we
102,
have, huh?
102 to 124. So I feel like, talking that out loud, put the numbers out there, I feel like we are in range with the other jurisdictions at the current pay band.
Okay,
So are you interested in knowing who's in pay band 14 in the city of Bremerton currently?
yeah, it's in their packet.
Yes,
Okay, so you all read that.
that's okay. Read it out, Jane.
Public
Assistant,
record.
assistant city attorney, assistant city prosecutor, parks operations manager,
Yeah.
and public works and utility finance manager.
I mean, come on, it sounds in line.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're gonna-
assistant city attorney 1, is there a higher assistant city attorney than 1?
Well, apparently, because there's assistant city prosecutor 2.
Well, there's assistant city
There's
attorney
1, 2,
3
3.
and 2.
It's 1,
Is-
2, and
is-
3.
Right. Okay, but there's no other,
Is there a general feeling that we want to change the salary? If you want to change the salary, look at me with 2 eyes.
no,
No,
But we do want to.
So currently band 14. That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
You wanted to back on that.
Okay. And let's
I think it's low myself, but
let's
is
go
it?
hire them.
because we're, the asset manager, court administrator, building official are at 15. I think this position is as important as that.
I tell you what, this program does need to grow, and we can always, this happens with positions. We've seen it in public works, for instance, this year. We can raise their pay band, and we can, maybe what's gonna happen is the mayor is gonna see the value of the program and come to us with a request to change pay band. So, or we can, come on, Ed.
Now that face I'm enjoying.
Yeah, just feel free, okay.
So we're gonna go out and
It's a
recruit.
crapshoot.
We're gonna go out and recruit. And I'm sure it's been the case before. You go to recruit for a position and you don't, the salary ends up being set too low and you're not getting a qualified applicant pool, and you would come back and say, hey, I think this is the reason we're not getting folks.
Yeah.
But most
So-
of them are directors,
And
but
the-
they're don't
right.
make
Yeah.
So,
I know,
So-
In
I
the,
know.
in the draft that I put, there's the salary range
Mhm.
from Mark Chabot.
okay.
I don't know what, I don't have to. So where's that? I don't know how there, but the salary range for market data is 95, basically the 120. For the managerial position.
Okay, so the temperature is same pay band, no change to salary. Operational budget under the mayor. We'll wait and see if the mayor comes to us with a request to change pay band or change the budget. This person's gonna grow in their program. Let's talk about job description or title. Which one? This is a long
Let's
conversation.
talk about title. That's always fun.
Let's talk about title. Let's do
I wanna
it.
be grand
We
poobah.
did all the
Usually like
direction,
do the description.
Let's make up our own title.
Just throw words in Anna's hat.
Yeah. Oh.
There's recommendations.
As a recommendation. Yes, we would
What's
love
the
it.
recommendation from the community?
I don't know that they.
DEI director.
DEI director.
DEI manager then, that's the recommendation from the community, bada big. Let's go.
Okay, but that's prior to several lawsuits, so we need to be cognizant of our social atmosphere.
People
We-
get sued for calling a DEI manager a DEI manager?
I think that, not necessarily suit, no, but the perception of, DEI, when the wave is to eliminate DEI as it stands as DEI, and change that focus to more of a diversity and community engagement manager, or something. for
I
that
don't think
manager.
we should bend to that kind of scurrilous pressure.
Kidding me?
I think we should find out what the community wants to call this position and call it that.
It's not up to the community. They make their recommendations to us.
Okay.
We work with HR professionals and we make a decision.
There's a big group of people in the news who are equating DEI to
The trigger.
affirmative action, and it's a trigger word, a trigger
Right.
phrase. So I agree that we should,
So is the word woman also a trigger?
ooh, I know.
You just triggered Michael.
Yeah.
Listen, okay, let me get a temperature check. Okay, so,
I'll shut up.
DEI doesn't necessarily have to be the end all, right? We're open to other titles. What is your recommendation? Michael?
Probably diversity and community engagement manager.
Okay, is anybody opposed to this
Can
recommendation?
you say that one again? That was fast.
Diversity and community engagement
I
manager.
love it.
Jeff,
So to the top, also the top of page, oh gosh, I'll remember.
Inclusion, diversity,
Yeah.
and equity, the idea, the
DEI.
acronym
There's a new, it's accessibility is the A.
is the A,
Mhm.
yeah, inclusion,
Oh,
diversity.
yeah, they do
Oh, I was
idea.
gonna shut up.
Yeah.
I really like having the community engagement in there,
Absolutely,
because that I think
because
is.
that's what we've been missing all these years.
Right, and so we've been talking about a, communications position, and I don't think
right.
there's some opportunity here, not to water down the, diversity part, but the strong thing is that the whole point of having that is not only internal, but the external communication, reaching out to everybody, so. if this
And
person can do that,
engagement is
yeah,
even
what's gonna be
better.
successful engaging everybody in the city.
And this group is, and this manager, as we're talking about now, will also be engaging in React, the new React.
Mhm.
So they'll be the staff liaison for React. So that's also another level of community engagement, which fits naturally into the outward facing, outward facing concept of this job description that we're talking about. So, okay, we've got a recommendation for a title. We've got the pay band. We've got we've got a lot of, what do you need from us now at this point? We need the job description.
You did the
So,
manager director thing.
yeah, job description. So was there a job description? Have we not had this discussion
Yeah, this
already,
is-
y'all?
That
Haven't we- have we
wordsmithing
not
job
done this yet? Okay,
description is
okay.
Not our forte at this time
No.
of night.
No, I hear you. So, what I'm hearing broadly though is that there's, a consensus on council kind of is that, a community engagement focus or community facing
Yeah,
is the, you want that to be highlighted in the job description, and you want that person to be
Yeah.
very engaged in the community.
Yeah.
Because I will say one of the other, things that was in the report was talking about that some positions fail because they're spread too thin. They're inside, they're outside, and they're one person. And, I guess to set the expectation for success, if the person's going to be focused, it sounds like the council wants them to be in the community and engaging and bringing input back
So-
and elevating voices.
It sounds like what we're looking for strengths of a strong candidate would be somebody who has the experience of engaging in community and has cultural competency and has the ability to create and manage their own program. Right? So these are some 3 key strengths that we're looking for. If I'm reading us right, is there any others? Okay, any other strengths we're looking for in the job description? You don't have to raise your hand on it.
Okay, so one of the things about City of Bremerton is it doesn't look like the City of Bremerton. And so I think that a DEI manager who is working with staff to improve retention of people who look like Bremerton, it is really of value. If you look through again that CMFR study, so many people who work here are just like, I know this is going to be pointless. I know this isn't going to go anywhere. I know, nothing's going to get any better. Nothing's going to change. And my own manager told me like I had to go, but it was pointless.
Anna, do you have a specific
I
ask
do.
of the job description?
So
Yeah,
that the
go for it.
DEI person be working not just with the community, but with the workforce that's here to increase a feeling of inclusivity.
So I think that that's a difference between, is that the inward versus outward facing.
Yeah.
And so my next question to add on to your question, Anna, would be, I know that might be something that we could add into our HR department in general, but I don't know if that's what you mean by spreading too thin, by being inward facing, looking at the.
I think it's,
Yeah.
I think that the person's going to be a resource for staff, and I think that as that communication piece is, and a resource for HR, I guess what I'm saying is that I think, working with staff is still going to be a part of the job description. I was just saying that I was hearing, what I would like to where I think I see us going is that we're going to take this feedback, we're going to prepare a job description based on this feedback. We're going to present it to you with the right title and the right salary, and you're gonna hopefully approve it after we get public comment. And that would hopefully happen really soon, so we can get the position on board.
Yeah.
But I was just asking not to take away from internal, external, or say this is position's gonna be all one or the other.
Right.
But they are going to have to, just because they are one person,
Yeah.
you know, have, you know, what do you want us to put first on the list of things and highlight a skill set given what we have? And that's just some feedback for Monica and Charlotte and I to work on.
Community engagement, I would say, yeah, that's more important. I agree.
Maybe a percentage, maybe would a percentage help or something? Like, no,
It's
I'm not
hard to,
saying
it's so
no.
hard to know that. Like,
Yeah.
it's-
I would think
Yeah.
across our HR department has done as well, haven't they? So, you know,
I think
so.
being heard is really important. Like, not just, listen to, okay, yeah, thanks for your input, but like actually being heard.
Right, and being brought into the decision-making process as a
Yeah.
member of the team and not just, after the fact.
And
That'd be
that
all
is a
right.
skill set that translates between outside and
Mhm.
inside. I mean, that's.
And that I don't dispute is gonna be hard.
Yes.
So when you bring
But
this,
exhilarating.
when you bring this for, the public to comment, I highly suggest that we have this whole packet printed out so people in the audience can read it besides it being just on our website.
Okay. Yes.
Double-sided.
Right.
Are we,
Like retired Con? or
No,
on
no, no.
vacation Con?
No.
are we,
Don't
do you think we're ready
retire.
to,
Are we moving that? Because
Are
I'm not gonna be-
you ready to move forward next week, or do you want another?
We have no
Move-
job description.
okay, pause, wait, move forward on what?
So we can take this feedback and we can develop a job description that we, instead of handing you samples and 2 drafts and all that, we can take all of this and come back with like, we think this is the one.
Yeah.
And you guys can look at it and say, okay, yes, and then we put that one forward.
At the general
You want us to
meeting?
vote
No.
tomorrow?
No.
I mean, next
No.
Wednesday?
What I'm asking is, I can do it 2 ways. We can take all of
Yeah,
this,
we're gonna need another, we're gonna want to put out another study session.
okay, another set.
Job description and another study session.
Job
Yes,
description.
please.
You wanna
We'll do it
say-
at the next one.
Okay.
immediately.
So we have answered a lot of questions. I appreciate that. We'll take that feedback and put it in the job description and get it back to you.
But then we're gonna love what you give us and we're gonna approve it at the next meeting and all the public comment is gonna be raving and wonderful. It's gonna be perfect.
Not a criticism to be
And
heard.
6 hours of public comment.
And so you can comment in between now and the next
Say
week
like
as well. If we like, through.
You wanna say a final word?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, and especially if
Well,
you're.
They're gonna wanna see.
Michael would like to say the final
Oh,
word
no,
on
not
this
the
and
final
then.
word. I just did.
There might be.
So I really like the community and engagement.
Yeah.
I actually could almost see like something like ADA committee
Right.
working with this person.
Me too.
And I like
Yeah.
what we're kind of talking about. This can feel threatening to some folks. And I like what I've heard people say about this person being a resource for staff, maybe ERGs or employee resource groups, or any of that kind of stuff on the
Going
employee
away.
side. Maybe there's a path that all job descriptions and where we do
Recruitment.
marketing and recruiting goes, this person gets to, not an approval per se, but, gets to participates in it. So,
I was just gonna say, if you want an example of something like where I think this person, going back to what we were discussing earlier, we were talking about tenants. We had Joanne here talking about how a lot of the folks that are in substandard rentals are Spanish speaking. And being able to work with a professional in communication to make sure that our outreach, when that ordinance changes and those resources for tenant relocation assistance are being spread in a way that reaches our entire community and doesn't leave people out, is where I see, like, as a staff person, being able to utilize the person and it being amplifying what we're doing that's good and helping us do it better.
I see the positivity that Common Streets has brought and the asset that they are to City of Bremerton in general. And I think this is going to be just as successful and as much of a resource, if not more. And of course, more, we hope. And so I think you got all your feedback. We're going to close out this item. And we'll see you in 2 weeks at the next study session. with the job description you've already gotten, council, I just want to make sure we're not going to reopen the discussion on manager versus director. We've already decided, right? We
Unless,
decided on pay band and we decided on, what were you going to say, Jane?
public comment, they might strongly come in and say, no, we really want this.
What I'm saying is at our next study session between us, okay? Like, and if, are you saying a public comment, you mean next week at the city council meeting?
Yeah, I'm
See what
I'm
you're
saying until we actually
Okay, I
vote.
mean, that's fair, but if there's no, if
But
there's,
among council, the discussion is over.
that really our focus now needs to be on job description details. Because that's where we're still waiting for new information.
And as far as for us and taking that direction, we'll be focusing on the manager at this point from this table. It certainly public comment shifts that discussion, but just to narrow the focus so we can.
Yep. I agree.
And to emphasize
Jane,
that
for that
the
reminder.
manager will report directly to the mayor.
Yeah.
That is indicated in the job description.
Yeah, but I mean,
Like, you want to put it bold, we'll put some questions.
banner
And
side.
provide periodic reports to the city council.
All right, so we done on this
Yeah.
one?
Okay.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming. We really do appreciate you, Attorney Fennell, Ms. Blackwood, Ms. Nelson.
I'll give you back your
Ms.
power.
Spencer is coming up next. What I want to do, just